Somehow Palpatine returned.
But we stopped Judgment Day.
You only postponed it. Judgment Day is inevitable.
Both of these lines are short. Both explain something big. Both are less, but one is more, and the other is plain lazy. Let's talk about why. Big sci-fi action movies juggle spectacle and storytelling, and sometimes the most powerful moments in storytelling come from restraint, when a single line carries weight beyond its words. But restraint requires skill, and when done wrong, it's nothing more than cutting corners. The difference between less is more and lazy is simple. Is the story better because of it, or worse? Let's start with the rise of Skywalker. Somehow Palpatine returned. That's it. That's the explanation. For one of the biggest plot points in the entire saga. A villain we saw vaporized is just back. No setup, no logic, no effort, just a single throwaway line that might as well have been, just shut up and be excited. Why is this lazy? Because it dodges storytelling responsibility. Instead of justifying Palpatine's return within the movie itself, it offloads the burden onto either the audience to fill in the gaps or books, comics and other tie-in materials. Want to know how he's alive? You better buy the book. But here's the thing, movies shouldn't rely on additional material to explain their own core story beats. That's not smart.
That's just lazy writing.
And we all know why it happened, because The Last Jedi threw Star Wars into chaos and Disney panicked. Instead of following through on any of the new ideas introduced in TLJ, they ran back to what they thought was a safe bet in J.J. Abrams. And Abrams, as we know, is the king of nostalgia and mystery box storytelling. So rather than carefully rebuilding the narrative, we got a haphazard patch job that brushed off all the heavy lifting with a single lazy line. Abrams builds plot about as carefully as a drunk man assembles IKEA furniture, rushing through, skipping steps, forcing pieces that don't fit, and by the end there's a handful of leftover parts, nothing is stable, but he swears it was all part of the plan. Now let's contrast that with Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. The line,
Judgment Day is inevitable.
This line serves a similar function to Rise of Skywalker's Palpatine line. It's a brief, definitive statement about a massive event in the story. Yeah, T3 is not exactly a masterpiece of cinema itself, but unlike Rise of Skywalker, this line actually contributes to the story. John Connor spends the whole movie trying to avoid the future. He still believes he can prevent the war, just like he thought he had in T2, but by the end he learns the harsh truth. It was never about stopping it, it was always about surviving it, and that realization lands because the movie actually builds to it. The idea that Skynet isn't just a single program, but a self-propagating intelligence, one that can spread through the internet, a technology that didn't exist in the first two films, makes for a logical evolution. The war wasn't prevented by destroying Cyberdyne, it was postponed because Skynet found a different way to win. So when the Terminator delivers the line, Judgment Day is inevitable, it's not a cop-out, it's the entire point of the movie. So why does T3's simplicity work, while Rise of Skywalker's doesn't? Well, that comes down to intent and execution. T3's line is a revelation. It changes how John and the audience see the story. Rise of Skywalker's line is an excuse. It avoids giving the audience information they deserve. T3 delivers its line with minimalism and weight. Rise of Skywalker uses its minimalism as a get-out-of-jail-free card. And this is the fine line between less is more and less is just less. Yes, T3 may be unnecessary, but it still tells a story about destiny. Connor tries to stop the war, but the point was he never could. That was never his role. Rise of Skywalker avoids explaining, pushing fans to buy tie-in materials for answers. The real reason? The Last Jedi created a mess, and Disney played it safe with J.J. Abrams, who prioritises nostalgia and spectacle over solid storytelling. So the next time you hear a short, simple line like one of these in a movie, ask yourself, does this add weight to the story, or is it just skipping the hard work? Because sometimes less is more, but other times less is just lazy.